Hi, miss.
Hello,
Hi,
Abdul.
sir.
Hello, Abdul. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How about you?
I'm good. Nice to meet you.
Same here, sir.
So let's give
Um,
a few minutes.
Abdul and Service, please switch on your camera. That would be we would like if you switch on your camera. Shivani, hello Shivani, please switch on your camera. Sarvesh and Shivani, please switch on your camera.
Hello, everybody. Before going forward, I would like to say please don't call me sir. Just call me Rohin. Yeah, people are trickling in. Let's give another minute. Is that okay? Another minute or two.
Yeah, we can wait for 1 or 2 minutes.
Hi Rohan, it's been a long
How are you,
time.
sir?
I'm
Long
good,
time,
doing
right?
good.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. So Rohan, let's wait for some more time, 5 more minutes, and let everyone join, and then we
Okay.
can start. I guess some parents are also there. I was having some conversation with one of my student, and he said he's like bit confused with mechanical engineering and aerospace, like which to take. I'll do masters in aerospace. The basic doubt confusion the students have. So from that, like I thought of to have a session with you, and you can have a better picture about what to do, what not to do.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll give you understanding about the students we have. So, like almost all students and parent have joined, and they are varying from grade 10 to grade 12. So, all students are very much interested in learning science and mathematics. Okay, like you were.
I would like for everyone to switch on their camera and mute themselves while Rohan sir will be talking. Okay. First of all, thank you all the parents and students for joining us, and thank you for to Mr. Rohan who took out time and is available for us for doing this session. So this is a small note from Yash sir because Mr. Rohan uh, has been a student of Mr. Yash in the last 5 years, and Mr. Rohan hold a bachelor's degree in aeroscience engineering from the University of Illinois and is currently working as a senior manufacturing engineer and at Rivian in the US. So, Rohan
Thank
sir,
you.
do you want to add anything else?
I can take over if there's nothing else. So
Yeah,
uh, I talk about myself. First of all, thank you, yes, sir, for this note. I'm very thank you so much. I'm very grateful. But like Mr. Shida said, I came to the US in 2019 for my undergrad in aerospace engineering. And as just mentioned, there was another student who was confused between mechanical and aerospace. I was exactly in that same situation because I did a bunch of research and I found out that for anybody who wants to do aerospace in the US, it is a great opportunity. But the problem is government restrictions. So something called ITAR, where you cannot work in the space industry in the US or, for a matter of fact, any other country unless you are a citizen or you have a green card or some kind of security clearance. So that is a challenge. So I was conflicted between mechanical because mechanical is a safe option and you can branch out to wherever you want to go. Aerospace is focused. At that point, it really depends on why you want to do aerospace. I'll tell you about my story, why I want to do aerospace. Because when I was little, it just it just happened to happen when I came back from home and my little brother and I were watching TV and we saw this rocket launch. And that was the first time I ever saw something that magnificent because I saw the mark diamonds and the flames that were coming out of the back. And we happened to see the astronauts walk in and suit up and tie themselves. And they were so small compared to this giant body of a rocket. This thing shot up into space and It looks so magnificent. I did not know what it was at the time, but I was like, that is something, because I saw my parents, I saw my TV, I saw my couch and everything, and that was big for me. I was 8 years old, but this seemed really, really, really huge and large, and I was scared, and I was like kind of petrified for them, that how much trust they have in the people who made this. And over time, it just grew, and I felt like I want to be one person who makes the machine that reliable and stable that other people want to sit in and go up so far. It's not like a car, because you can drive a car, if it breaks down, you can park it on the side of the road. But if a rocket breaks down, or if a plane breaks down, or if a satellite breaks down, it's kind of war at that time between countries, or it's unfavorable at all. So I knew that I wanted to study this. I did not know how, I did not know where, when. So as I grew up, when I did my JE coaching under Yash sir, then I learned more about the math and science principles about why it happens, and that just kept developing more and more. And then my parents, my family, and my friends suggested do mechanical because it's safer in undergrad at least, and then do aerospace in masters. That is obviously a safe option, and that works for people. But if you're really, really passionate, I will tell you that learning aerospace, because I know a lot of students probably want to do aerospace, learning aerospace is really good because it gives you the problem solving skills, and it's rigorous. It's very rigorous in the US. I will come to that later, what the academic profile looks like here in the US for aerospace. But it's very rigorous. You will do a lot of research. You will do a lot of hands-on activities that I personally think is just not supported much in India. In that way, studying here is really beneficial for you. And doing that, it gave me a deeper insight into the industry. And now I'm in the period of getting my green card. So it's a few years until you get your green card. Then you can work in a core aerospace industry. But I'm working in the propulsion department right now. And that's fairly close to it's still the skills that I've learned in class that or my undergraduate degree that I've using here. So there are obviously job opportunities. And if you're considering to go back to India and work in an Indian company, that's also an option. But I would not recommend that personally, because the main learning you have here is in industry. I love India. Obviously, India will be number one, but for me, but US is leading in aerospace currently, and there's no other country that's like doing what US is doing. So if you get industry experience here, that will put you like maybe 10, 15 years ahead. So when you go back to India later, which I also want to do, when I'm maybe 35, 40, I want to go back to India and help there. But I won't be able to help as much there if I do not get my experience here. So that's why I think it's worth getting experience here. Now, I should have started with this, but what is aerospace engineering for anybody? So if you've ever seen a plane, if you've ever seen a rocket or a satellite or any kind of, even this bottle-shaped satellite, these do exist, bottle-shaped satellites, they go up into space and you get your GPS, you get your Google Earth images, you get any kind of weather forecast stuff. It comes from these satellites, and they are very precise, they are very well controlled, and they are very precisely engineered. And that's all of that is aerospace engineering. Even your vehicles, the shape of your vehicles, why are they the shape they are? Why does a golf ball have dimples? Why is it not smooth? You want to hit the ball, it should go far. Why do you want dimples in that? Why are F1 cars looking a certain way versus your regular cars? Why do they look a certain way? That's all aerodynamics. That's all aerospace engineering. It's a vast field. Anything you take water and you drop a drop of water, you see how it flows, or you turn on a fan and you see wind blowing one way. That's all aerospace engineering. And I like it because it's something you cannot. It's not tangible. It's not like a water bottle or a mouse, but it's something that affects a lot: drag, acceleration, lift force, stuff like that. So even in that, there are two different, I would say aerospace, it's actually, technical term is aero and astro, because aerospace is anything that uses air, which is your planes or your hot air balloons or anything like that. Astro is what doesn't use air. It uses vacuum, which anything that goes into space. So rockets or satellites, unmanned or manned, doesn't matter. That is aerospace engineering. So you will be learning stuff like first of all, how do you build a rocket? What is it made up of? What is a satellite made up of? What is a plane made up of? So I'll talk about a rocket for now as an example. You have people on the top called the payload, or whatever cargo you want to move, like a satellite. Let's say I want to move this bottle. I will put that in the payload. It's like the cockpit where the pilot sit. Then the rest of the body is just propellant. It's just fuel. So you can already see one of the problems in aerospace engineering that future bright minds will be sort of challenged to solve, because you have such a big rocket, a small, maybe like 5% of it is just usable weight. 95% of it is just fuel that is used and discarded, and it's still so huge. So the challenges here that you would likely face in your education and your industry would be, how do I make it lighter, lighter, lighter? How do I make it faster? How do I make it reliable? Because, like I said, you don't have a remote control in space. You cannot like maneuver. If it's stuck there, you're stuck there forever. Whoever you sent up there is going to be stuck. So it's a challenge. For air breathing, meaning planes under the atmosphere, you will see things like fighter jets. You will see things like very slow helicopters. You will see things like in the middle, like planes, mid-sized planes, large planes. How do they work? How do turbines work? How do engines work? And you might sort of extrapolate, but mechanical engineering is a part of aerospace. So mechanical engineering is a base, and you are able to branch out into many fields. But they specialize on mechanics, structures. They specialize on tools to do CFD, or which is a type of fluid analysis or kind of structural analysis, FEA, stuff like that. But aerospace is very specifically on anything that is taking using air to get lift. So it's a specialized kind of knowledge, which again, like I said, you have to know if you want to do that or not, and to gauge if you really want to do aerospace or not. I would suggest, this is what I did. I look up the curriculum for whichever university you want to go to. I look up the curriculum and then look up what the professors are doing. So what current research professors are doing. It might not make sense to you because obviously it's supposed to be new and novel. That's the whole point of it. But if you look at it, if it like resonates with you, if it feels like something I wish I was part of that, or if I wanted to do that, then that's aerospace. Because mechanical is a broad topic. You'd be very safe. Like you'd make this bottle, you'd make electric vehicles like we do, you'd make this TV probably, anything. But if you really want to specialize, that's aerospace. So if you can go to the next slide.
Yes, sure.
So I'll talk about the eligibility criteria. So most of you, I believe everybody's hasn't done undergrad yet. So you would be going for undergrad in US. There are four main requirements. One is obviously your transcripts from your high school. I will talk about that in a second. The second is three letters of recommendation. Now, I would recommend, if you are between grades 10 and 12, that really make a close relationship with your professors or your teachers, or anybody, if you have any internships or anything like that, with industry professionals, because when time comes to write your applications, that is something that they will look for. All universities look for this. Three recommendations, and it's very preferable if your recommendations, two of the three are from your current teachers. One from your field that you want to study in, like if you want to study mechanical or aerospace, then somebody who's a physics teacher or chemistry teacher or math teacher, and one from humanities, or that is not core science. It doesn't really matter who, but anybody who shows that you have not just an academic person, but you're all around. And the third one from any industry profession, if you have, it's always a good thing. That's two requirements. So transcripts and letter of recommendation. Then you have to write essays, which are your statement of purpose. Why do you want to study? So like I told you, why I wanted to study, because I just, even though my parents were saying, take this safer route, I wanted to do aerospace. I know it's going to be hard. And aerospace is really, really hard. I won't lie. It is very academically rigorous. You might have heard like it's not rocket science. Well, this is rocket science and you have to learn it. But it will make sense to you. If you have the passion, it will make sense to you. It's really, whatever your sir is teaching you, you will see it makes sense when you're learning in class. And it's kind of beautiful because you, like I said, it's a lot of hands-on. So I have had labs, I've had places where, like my group, we made a drone just from a regular, like 4 propellers that we made out of 3D printed plastic and a battery pack. And we made it sort of balance an inverted pendulum. Like if you hold a broomstick in your hand, it'll fall to one side. How do you make sure that it's like balancing by itself? So that's autonomous control. That is something you learn the theory in class, but you get the opportunity to test this out. And that is something that professors will not force down on you, which I think is really good. It can be good and it can be bad, because if you're a student who likes to take initiative and he or she wants to like go beyond class and try, I would recommend US universities a lot, because they really support giving the infrastructure and you do it. So they will not tell you, hey, you should do this or you should do that or try this out. That they will not do. So if you want your undergrad to be fruitful, then you will have to like look at opportunities and make the best out of it. That is really the way to jump 2-3 years. Um, so the essays, one essay will be a personal statement, which is why you want to study aerospace, why you want to study in that university. The second one would be in different wordings. It'll be the same thing, which is what have you done beyond your academics that make you a good scholar? Meaning, are you a good human being? What have you done for society? What have you done to make the world better? It's not necessary that everybody has to be a freedom fighter or something like that. Obviously, that's not true. But if you have seen a problem in your community, even in your family, or if in your community, in your school, in your locality, and you did something about it, that is what they want to hear about. And don't do good things because they want it in the essay, but they want to know that you're a good person, that you're not just someone who's going to open a book and then study, and then after closing the book, you're a completely different person. They want to know that, yes, you will take that knowledge and you will see a problem in the world and you can join them together. The third essay will be specific to the university. I cannot speak to that, but it's something about tell me about an experience that you had, in which you had a problem that you faced and you use engineering to solve it. So that's why I would recommend in your 10th, 11th, 12th grade years, really do as many extracurricular activities as you can. If you want to do aerospace, I would recommend, it's very simple to make a model rocket. Depending on the class of motor you use, you might have to get some kind of clearances from the local communities. But if you go under a certain class, it's off the shelf. You can make it. I would say look up current technology that people are doing, like NASA is doing or SpaceX is doing, and try to understand it. And if you have the opportunity to you have research groups around you, or if you have friends that you want to maybe try out making a different shaped wing, like you might have seen planes. You have planes that have wings outside on the side of the bodies, right? I don't know if you ever noticed, but sometimes the wings are starting at the bottom of the body of the plane where you sit, and they go outward. Some of them start from the top and go downward. You should question why? Why is that? Why do some planes the wings go downward? Why do some planes the wings go upward? What is the reason for that? What would happen if the shape is different? It might not be possible, but you could try doing your own studies, make a CAD model and try to see if you're able to, what happens to aerodynamics if it changes. Now, I don't expect anybody to be able to go through the entire process, but just reading about it and knowing about it, it puts you on track to be well versed when you join university. And it'll give you a lot, just by this experience, it'll give you a lot of information, what to put into your essays, because you'll have a knowledge of the field. And the fourth is SATs. SAT and English proficiency. So either TOEFL or IELTS, one of them, doesn't matter which, you will have to do that exam. That is mandatory for everybody. Unfortunately, for international students, you have to do that. And SAT exam. So SAT would be a general test for your maths, science, and English ability, and which is really not hard. So if you're studying for JEE, which it's nothing compared to JEE, I will tell you that. It's just the time crunch that is the problem. So you have to focus your strategy on how do I solve these many questions in this much time. These are the 4 requirements. What are the best universities in the US for pursuing aerospace? For undergrad, I would say obviously MIT is the best. MIT, Caltech, and Stanford. These 3 are always been and probably will be the best for aerospace because of their focus on academic rigor, because of their research abilities, because in the facilities they have, those are the best ones to apply to. They really look very heavily on academic record. They want to see top 5% of your class, top 2% of your class, and any awards, any scholarships, any work that you have done in your high school years that made you the best in your ability. And again, the same essays, but they'll just look at it more, scrutinize it more. I will tell you the top 10, which I know because I have sort of rated multiple things based on different, their cost bases or their research abilities, their opportunities, job opportunities. I will say MIT is number 1, Caltech is number 2, Stanford is number 3, University of Michigan is number 4, Georgia Tech, Purdue, and UIU. These 6 universities have always been on the top 6 to 7. They keep switching numbers, but they are always there. So I will also talk about, obviously it's a financial burden doing undergraduate in the US. It is, but you can do something like I did. So what I did is I did a transfer program. Now in India, there is a university called Manipal Institute of Technology. So I did my first year there in aerospace. And then I transferred after the first year to the US. So that saved me 1 year of fees, which is a lot compared to US fees compared to Indian fees. And the first year is always generic. So no matter what stream you choose, if you choose civil, mechanical, computer science, biomedical, it doesn't matter, because the first year you will be doing this a similar kind of classes, because they give you an opportunity to still test out different. If you join in as an aerospace engineering student, but you still learn classes from chemistry, you learn classes from biology, learn it from mechanics. And then at the end of the first year, you get to an option. Do you want to switch or do you want to stay in this field? And that's when you are able to decide finally. So the first year is a good experience for you to explore. So my point is that you don't have to be so worried that, oh, I have to make a decision now and I have to stick with it for the rest of my life. Because even after you go into university, you're in the university, you have exposure to everything. You have exposure to all the labs and different fields. You have a chemistry field, you have computer science field. You can take classes, there's no restriction. You're able to decide after the first year. How can students crack the university and get admission? Extracurricular activities, very highly rated, apart from your academics. Get good grades, obviously everybody wants to do that, but don't just memorize and try to solve few problems, because you will see there's not a single problem in your application. They will not ask you solve this math equation, or do L'Hopital method, or integrate this. They will not ask you that. They will ask you, what have you done? What experiences have you had? What challenge did you pursue? Because why did you want to pursue it, and what did you do? They want to know that. So extracurricular activities, if it's in your field, if you like F1, let's say, like I'm sure every university now, at least in the US, they have a Formula SAE team, meaning there are a bunch of students that they try to build their own formula car. It's obviously not as good as Red Bull or Mercedes, but they try, and they learn a lot based on that. And those kind of things, they help you gain a lot of experience beyond the textbook. And I can guarantee you, with my work experience here, I learned a lot of things in college, but I learned a lot more things here in industry. Mostly, there are people who are specializing in different fields. You specialize in one, they have specialized in the other fields. How do you learn from them? You gain a lot of experience in working in the US. So I would 10 on 10 recommend working in the US if you can. And focus on your academics, yes, but you have to ask this question to yourself, that am I doing this because I want good grades, or am I doing this because I like math and science? Am I doing this because I want to understand how the world works? I want to understand how trains are made. I want to understand how planes fly. I want to understand how this bottle is made. Is that the reason for you doing math and science? Now, I know it's easier said than done. It's obviously a tough situation. I have been in that situation, yes. But when you go through it, and then later you will realize that I did all of it. Because another thing, I have a lot of colleagues right now who did engineering because they had to, or they thought they should, and they don't like it. They wanted to do something else, but they kind of stuck. They have the opportunity to move, but it's like cost sunk fallacy. Once you put in a little bit investment into something, even if it's not what you want, you say that I've put so much investment, I might as well go ahead, and this goes down the rabbit hole. So I want to harp this point that it is very critical that you understand if you want to do engineering, and why do you want to do engineering? Because is it just because it's cool, or is it because you're building cool stuff, or is it because you actually want to know why things work? I will tell you my experience here, because I am in the propulsion team, not the aerodynamics team. But fortunately, I not say every company, but some companies are open. Some companies have strict walls that your work is this much, you will not venture out. So I had the opportunity to talk to the aerodynamics team, and as we're building our next generation vehicles for Rivian, you might have seen Rivian vehicles probably, the EVs, they come in a certain shape. Now I cannot disclose everything, so I challenged the aerodynamics team, saying, why does this have to be this way? What happens if we do this instead? And I learned the software myself. I did a few studies myself in my own free time, and I proposed to them, hey, look at this. If you do this, then we get this much drag counts reduction, which is obviously good for any vehicle. Drag being reduced, meaning your fuel efficiency is higher. You can go further with lesser fuel consumption, which everybody wants. So then I proposed it to them, and then they came back to me saying, we have these regulations that we have to follow. And I didn't know that, but they told me this, and then I learned more. And then I iterated, and then we are currently in a stage of building a clay model that we put in a wind tunnel to test. And this is all unofficial, but it's something that if you have an interest, you try and you do it, and you learn a lot. So I love this process because I learned a lot more from my own First of all, I learned the software by myself. Nobody taught me. I did trial and errors, and I failed quite a few times, and then I finally had a product that I could show. And getting this exposure is obviously good for you. Those kind of things, if you do in undergrad or before undergrad, that really makes your applications shine a lot. Cost wise, I would say you can expect anything from 20,000 to 70,000 per year without grants. So you will, if you apply, you will most likely get grants and scholarships. So that drastically cuts down your costs as well. That's what you would expect depending on the university. And work opportunities, there are two things in the US called CPT and OPT. CPT stands for curricular practical training, and OPT stands for optional practical training. So during your 4 years, you are allowed to work for internships. And if you work during your 4 years of studies, it's called CPT, because what will happen there is either you do a co-op, which is 6 to 8 months long, or you do an internship, which is 2 months, 2.5 months long. So if you do a 6 to 8 month long co-op, that's a good amount of time to get industry exposure, because you will work on a project that is significant. In 2 months, you're barely able to make a dent in your work, but in 6 months you are. And then you continue with your education when you come back. OPT is after you graduate. Now all of us are STEM students, so we have the benefit of getting 3 years of OPT. Regular students who are non-STEM, they get only 1 year. So for you, after graduation, it's your choice. If you want to work in industry in the US, then you get 3 years. You can work here on your visa. If you do not want to work, then you can leave if you want. So that's how it works here. It's your choice. But I will say always, it really depends on what you want to make use of, because there's abundance of resources here. It depends on you, how you use those resources. And I would say, if there are any specific questions that you want to know up until now, I can answer those. I heard there are also some students from biomedical in here. I'm not directly related to biomedical, but I would say it's the same routine, because you in undergrad you get a lot of opportunities for research and to work with professors on the projects that they are working on, which is almost always industry leading, that nobody has done before, and that's a great experience. I do not know about biomedical. I can find out if there's anybody who wants to know about that specifically. I can find out and tell you, but I don't know right now. What is the future aspect of the field in this future? So aerospace has always been on the rise. Every year, it's about 3 to 4% increase in the in the job market for the US. But again, the caveat is being a US citizen or having at least a green card. So if you're like me, if you come in on a F1 visa, after you graduate, it'll take about 5 to 6 years until you get your green card. After that, you're free to work in aerospace industry. So that period of time is where you have to you won't be able to work in like Boeing or NASA or SpaceX until then. Even if you're talented, you're not. But times are changing, because now with the new president here and Elon as the governor of Doge, he is making changes. Now we are all very hopeful that that changes. So anybody who comes to the US who has skilled talent, their process to get an H1B would be expedited quite a bit, and you'd be able to work in industry very soon. What will the job market in this field be after 10 years? Like I said, it's always increasing, because the more we go into space, the more we venture, we find more things that we want to do. And if you look up at the news, you'll see every day there's some new finding about Mars or about Jupiter or about the moon surface. And even right now, you might have heard there's a NASA challenge going on about how to recycle stuff on the moon. So if you take plastic water bottles or their food comes in vacuumed packages, and there is no way of there's no trash can there. So how do you recycle that? That's a challenge that everybody is facing. So NASA is paying about $3 million for anybody who can solve that. It's a challenge that anybody can solve. So anybody can attempt at least. So even right now, if you do a bunch of research and if you come up with an idea, that's good experience to put on your application for university. Any specific questions that anybody has? So apart from aerospace, mechanical will always be in demand, because you are the base for anything. You can be a mechanical engineer and then be an aerospace engineer. Mechanical will always stay there. And petroleum engineering. Petroleum engineering is something that is always under supplied. Demand is always high and supply is very less. Petroleum, but it's also niche. So again, you have to like it. And it's a great career, petroleum engineering, because you will be working on good things like extracting more renewable resources for fuel and stuff like that. Electrical engineering is a diverse field, I would say. It's a high paying field as well in the US, but I don't know what kind of skills you need to be a good electrical engineer. But civil, I would say civil is not something that is very stable. I mean, it is stable, so it's not stable as a field to go into. But biology, chemistry, I'm not sure. I can find out, but I'm not sure if I will look into that side of the industry as well, and I'll get back. But I would say aerospace, computer science has been at the top, but computer science is something right now with the rise of AI, it's not looking very good. I cannot predict the future, but it's not looking because a lot of people in tech companies are not are being pushed out. So experience-wise, it's not a good option. I would suggest right now. So I would give the same suggestion to any student actually. Grade 9 and 10, you have more time. I would suggest any kind of extracurricular activities, like go beyond your classroom and make groups or look up research articles online or look up professors what they're doing or any kind of news and see any kind of experiment that you want to do. Because just doing textbook problems would not help you in your university. So it goes to the same for both of them. Boost your resume. Like I said, so one of the essays that they ask for is your humanities, such what have you done as a person. So if you've done any community service, that really helps. I would recommend that. And this is the trick. I would say it's not necessary, but when you send your resume to a university, when you send it to a job versus a university is more academic. A job is more money. They want to make money. They're not a research institute. So when you send your resume to an academic institute, you want to put your academic stuff first and your research experience first, and then your internships and stuff like that. But when you send your application to a job, to a company, then you want to reward it. You want to put your experience as an industry professional first, and then you want to do your academic skills, because it's not a critical point, but that's the subject that you learn as you work here in the US.
Is there anyone who wants to ask any question? They can ask Mr. Rohan right now. If any parents or any students want to ask anything, feel free to ask.
Yeah, hi Rohan. This is Pallavi. My son is in class 12th. So I
Hello,
just
nice to
want,
meet you.
yeah, same here. So it was a very informative session. Thanks for that. Thanks for taking out time. I just want to, you've already said this, but still I just want to again ask you. My son is very much passionate about this aerospace engineering. So, but we
Yeah.
were in two minds. I was talking to Yash sir also. So you were suggesting if he should directly apply for aerospace only. He should not go for mechanical. Is it?
Yes. So is your son online?
No, no. I mean, some personal work he had to go out. So that is
Okay.
why I'm attending in on his behalf.
Okay, so I would recommend this to you when since he hasn't seen this, so just when you go back, just
Yes.
ask him why he wants to do aerospace. Ask
Yeah,
him that, and see
all
what he
those things
says.
which you have mentioned, he is
He
really,
said he likes it.
yeah, he's quite intrigued by all those things.
Okay.
So that is why he was. But we were in two mind, like you also said, mechanical has a broader this thing.
Yeah.
If he gets into mechanical, then he has more options, and then
So
one of the option is aerospace also. And if he doesn't get a good job there, then maybe he can, go back to mechanical engineering, do things.
so
So yeah,
is he planning to stay in the US and work here, or does he want to come back after?
that is not very clear right now because he will be just stepping out now after 12.
Okay.
So that is not too. He's not very clear about that, but he wants to study there. That is for sure.
I understand the confusion. Yes. So I would say in an industry, if you have an aerospace degree on your resume, that pays a lot of importance. It's sort of unfair, but it does. If you take the same resume with a mechanical engineering degree and an aerospace engineering, they favor the aerospace one because that by default implies that this person is very specialized in mechanical plus skills that are really specific to aerospace. And why I'm saying aerospace is because even chemical engineering is specific, even civil engineering is specific, but aerospace because it is hard, which implies that you have gone through rigorous curriculum and you have done well there, which means that you're capable. So that is why I would say even if he was to want to switch to mechanical after get a job in mechanical, having that aerospace degree on his resume would really help open doors for him in manufacturing or in industry.
So what if he does in like undergrad he takes mechanical, and then for post graduation he does aerospace?
That is a safe option. Yes, that is possible. Is this That's very possible if you're really don't like aerospace. That I mean, you're not heavily passionate about aerospace. So
Okay.
I would suggest like if he'll have to do a little sort of soul searching and see if he's willing to take the challenge. Because I will say the 4 years will be hard, and the
Mm-hmm.
4 years will be, but he'll get a lot of knowledge
Yeah.
that at par with mechanical and probably a little more.
Okay.
So maybe ask him this: is he okay with working with fluids or gases for the rest of his life? Meaning, if he was not to work on like building a robot or building a car, but if he
Mm-hmm.
was building a plane or a rocket or a helicopter for the rest of his life, would he be okay with that?
Okay.
So
I'll do that. Yeah.
if he's a little scared of just being focused on that little niche market, then
Mm-hmm.
mechanical is the right option. Because
Mm-hmm.
like you said, after mechanical he can go into aerospace. But if he has no fear, like I had no fear. If he wants to do that, if he's really passionate, then aerospace is 100% the best option.
Okay, thank you so much.
No
Actually,
problem.
that is the, I mean, after the he gets a degree, the job part is more tricky, I think, because if he comes
Yes,
back to India, then there's not many options. Like if he has aerospace degree, if he has mechanical, I think then he'll have more options in India. But if he
that is
stays in
true.
US, then yeah, of course, aerospace will be like more beneficial, I think.
So I would also say in recently in the last 2 3 years there have been a lot of companies that are making electric vertical takeoff and landing planes. Those are do not have government restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
So all even international students can work in those companies, and those are good companies. The good thing here is because right now they are undergoing it's called FAA, a Federal Aviation Agency certification. So until then, they cannot hire any external like non-US citizens. But once they get that, then they are completely open to do that. So by the time your
Mm-hmm.
son finishes his undergrad, those companies will be ready, and there are about 7 or 8 really good in the US itself. There are a bunch in the UK, a bunch in Germany. But if you
Okay.
want to talk about US, those companies hire, and they do have no division between international or citizens.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else who want to ask any other question?
Yeah, hello.
Hello. Hi, Abdul.
Yeah, my name is Surya. I'm currently in 11th grade. The thing is, I want to go into Manipal Institute of Technology College for undergrad. I mean, from the research I've done, scoring academic wise is not like a trouble for me. But then right now, at a certain point, I don't have much extracurricular work that I can put on my resume. So I was just wondering if, like, what mainly should I focus on extracurriculars that help me get into the college?
Okay, so what degree do you want to study? What field?
Mechanical engineering.
Mechanical. So have you ever tried like making autonomous vehicles or at least exploring that field?
Yeah, I've made a few projects here and there based on the school and like tournaments. You know, hackathon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hackathon. Yeah, I'm
attended a
thinking.
few like that. I made a few projects here and there, but they're not much.
So I would recommend. So do you have any coding skills or anything that you? So hackathon is one. It's not directly related for mechanical, but hackathon is a good option. The other one is in your school. Is there any like SAE team? It won't be called SAE, but any team that makes that is building like a maker space or something that is building.
We have like a STEM lab in our school where we can, use facilities provided by the school to make projects and all.
Yeah. So what I see here, I think the constraint is what to make, right? Because you have the support, but what to make. So the
Yeah,
thing here would be to get up to speed with the current literature, which is what people are doing in industry. So you are interested in mechanical. Let's say you want to make a vehicle. So EVs are the good option right now. What is the challenge? What are the challenges for EVs? So if you come to a point where you know EVs are good, but they have these inefficiencies, and then you don't even have to make anything. You just like either research about it or study about it and propose an idea to someone. I have a few. Have you heard of Y Combinator?
A word?
Y Combinator.
Uh,
That's so Y Combinator and a few others. They are like they're an organization that take ideas from people who have like any kind of improvement idea for anything like a vehicle or something like that, and they fund you. So they fund you if they think the idea is has merit, give you the support to be able to do that. Now it's a tough process because there's a lot of competition and everything, but just the opportunity to get that exposure to pitch your idea and get back and forth feedback and questions is and that actually that will tie very good because that's something what you have to do in your masters when you make a thesis. You have to justify your thesis, you have to defend it, and that's exactly how it will be. You have done any kind of research or any kind of study and you have an idea, you have to justify it. Now, again, that's not a physical product yet. It's an idea. But my point here is that if you have the tools around you, the question is what to do with those tools. I don't know much about mechanical as much, but for aerospace, if I was you, I would try to see what I can get off the shelf, which is a rocket motor. I can get now I want to make a rocket body. So I would like probably take PVC tubes of different diameters and then probably make a very thin one, a little medium size and a thick one, and then a very small rocket motor and see which one goes the highest. And then I realized, oh, the thinnest one goes the highest. Why is that? Because the lightest weight. So then now I know that weight is an important characteristic. So then how do I remove more weight while keeping it structurally sound? So I will sort of do something like that. And it doesn't have to be it almost has to be not expensive. It's very cheap, like scrap stuff. And you said you have coding experience also, so that would really help because if you can make a program something like I don't know if you know a PID controller. It's a controller that if I drop a car here and I want it to go from here to that point, it has to navigate by itself and go there, looking at obstacles. So it'll sense an obstacle and then go this left around it and then course correct as it's going. So that doesn't require any expenditure at all, and that is something that you can start. Your first step should be like looking up what the current latest work is in these fields, what people have done, and then see what the inefficiencies are or what people have missed out or what can be made better, and then just think about it, what you can do to improve. I have a few friends who have done mechanical in undergrad here, so I can ask them and I can get back to you also what they did in their before in the school as well, and I can give
yeah,
you.
that would be much appreciated if you do.
Anyone else want to ask anything? Any student want to ask anything with sir or any
Okay,
parent?
I would like to name some of the student guys. If you have any question, you guys can ask, and then we'll end it. Prasha, Nigel, Jazreel, Gargi, Rehan, Hafiz. Hafiz, you must be having something. Okay. Okay, no pressure at all. Rohan, I got one query. One of
Yeah.
student he mentioned that there is a degree which is of undergrad level, but they are sharing saying that masters in engineering with honors, and so he is confused. So I'll also share some screenshot he shared with me that whether he should go for that masters of engineering, but it is mentioned it's an undergrad level degree. So what exactly the meaning of it? It's like aerospace engineering degree only in University from Manchester.
Okay.
So he's confused whether I should go for this master's degree. Number one, that is the doubt, and second, it is mentioned it's an undergrad level degree. So how it is master's degree? So
Okay.
I
So
don't
I
know whether it's a
think
dual or not. Yeah.
it's yes, you're right. So what happens is it's you said it's in the UK. It's probably worded different, but it's the same thing. Even here, you have a 5-year course of BS together. So at the end, you get your master's degree because usually you have 4 years of undergrad and then 2 years of masters. But some universities they do a combined accelerated program, so you can do in 5 years. In 3.5 you finish your bachelor's, and then 1.5 you do masters, and at the end you get your masters as well. That's a quicker way of getting a degree. People prefer that. It's still you will still do undergrad. So if he goes for that, he will still do undergrad first, complete that, and then go into masters.
Okay, and how would you suggest like one should go or not for like if there is a something dual degree?
So I personally would not do that because that 1.5 years masters mean there are two things. One, if an industry professional looks at that, they will say, "Oh, the student did not do a proper rigorous masters, they accelerated it. Second thing
Mm-hmm.
is they usually do not have a thesis requirement, so it's non-thesis, but thesis is the main part of masters. So
Understood.
then it's not suggested.
Okay, and also like sub question he had that UK versus US. So because he's applying for both countries, so which one he should go for, or which one he should target at the first priority?
I would
And this is
say,
a
I
very
mean,
common question I am getting from all fields, like where to go now.
yeah, I understand. I would say, I mean, UK in general is not as good for aerospace, but European Union together is good. But that doesn't, it's not guaranteed always that European Union will take students from UK or from France or anywhere. But US is definitely at the forefront. For industry wise, there's no way you can get a better experience than US. That is guaranteed. But why I'm hesitating is because I do not know the government restrictions in UK, meaning it could be easier to get a job directly in that company right after college. It might be more difficult here. But let's say you get into both, US is 100% better.
Okay.
I do have a
Uh,
question.
yeah, go ahead.
How do you make your college application the most weighted? How do you give
Uh,
it a lot of value?
So, like I said, letter of recommendations, they put a lot of value. And if you make a good relationship and with the student, with your professor, and they talk about who you are as a person, what you have done, that really puts a lot of weight. And there are two things. So when you apply, you will get an option to waive your right to see the letter of recommendation or be able to see it. Meaning, if I was to write you a letter of recommendation, and if you do not waive your right, then I can write it, and you can see it, and you can approve, and then I can submit it on your behalf. But if you waive your right, then you will not see what I do, what I write about you. That's more authentic. Universities think that's more authentic and that's better. So that's why I'm saying that go with that option and make a good relationship with your professors so that they know you well and they can write good things about you. And the second thing is extracurriculars any day. I would 100% vouch for that because academics, many students who will have the same grade, and it'll be a huge competition. But academics in extracurriculars in your field and also in community. So this is kind of university's way of making sure that students are not just like book smart, but they're also people smart and they're also like a good human. So it's unfortunate that has to be a requirement for people to do it, but that's just something that it makes you a good person. It makes you do. So I would say, because I have heard, I've never been in the admissions committee, but I have heard that they really look when they see the essays, they see the essay of your purpose, statement of purpose, why you want to study here, why you want to study this field, and they see your essay of your personal history. What's your background? What have you gone through? What have you done? How have you become the person you are? And how will you contribute here? That is like you would imagine a university only cares about your academic stuff, but that is very important, and I would emphasize that. So extracurriculars and your essays and letter of
Academics.
recommendation.
Okay.
I would
So
say
the
if you to make your application even better, they if you have any kind of it's almost doesn't happen in undergrad, but any kind of awards or any kind of publications or hackathon, like if you have taken part in hackathon and if you have done well there, you can talk about that. Or if you have led any projects in school, if you have initiated any kind of project in your community,
mm,
those are the things that you put in your resume, and then you put your
do they
resume
have
in
to
the
be like
application.
in a certain timeline? For example, in your high school years or only in your middle school
Oh,
years, or is it like in general?
no, no, no. Especially for undergrad, it's you have the leeway of it being, even if it was like maybe 10 years ago, it's fine. But it'll always be better if you can show how it is tying to you now. Meaning, so in your resume, if you say in grades 5, let's say, I did this, and then in your personal statement essay, you say when I did this in grade 5, this taught me humility, or this taught me problem solving, or this taught me critical thinking. And then how are you willing to use that in your university? That ties a whole loop, and they will like that.
Okay. So so the way you can have your college application to be the most weighted is extracurriculars, academics, and
Letter of recommendations.
Yeah, letter of recommendations. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, correct. Those, yeah, it's very important. Those three. Letter of recommendations does a lot of magic. It does, because you will see, that's another thing I should mention. In the US, it's usually not merit outside of university. That academic life, it's usually based on who do you know and how well do they know you. It's networking. So your next job will be based on networking. Your next promotion will be based on networking. Your next business will be based on networking. So it's about who knows you and how they vouch for you, and who they know and who they know, stuff like that. It's you don't have to worry about that right now, but you'll realize when you experience it. That's a good question, though.
Anyone else? So we can end the session over here.
Okay.
If Yeah, okay. Students, please turn on your camera for once. We have to take a picture. So please, parents and students, for a minute only, please turn on your cameras. Surya, Giselle, Gargi, Natasha ma'am, please turn on your cameras. Yeah, okay. Sonika ma'am, you can take the picture. Yeah, taken. Okay. So thank you all of you for joining us today for this career mentoring session. It's an absolute pleasure to have Mr. Rohan with us. And thank you for sharing your time and your expertise, all your stories with the students. I hope they are happy with this session and they got lots of knowledge. So wishing you all very best for your future. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you,
honestly,
parents. Thank you, all
thank
the
you all for
students.
coming. Uh, I was exactly in this situation, and I understand how it feels. But if you would like, you can take my LinkedIn, and I can. If you have any specific questions, if you want a specific field information, then I know people who are in that field, and they can help you out with that as well.
Okay.
Thank you so much. That's great.
No problem.
If you want,
And
I'll
yes,
share
yes,
Soul's
sir.
LinkedIn personally.
Okay, and yes, sir also
Yeah,
has my
please
information.
do share, Ipshita.
Okay, ma'am, I'll do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Hafiz, you want to tell something?
No, miss. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. We are ending this session. Thank you for joining and your time.
Thank you, sir. Bye,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you,
Okay,
everyone.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Rohan.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Rowan.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Bye.